Okay, although the next presidential GOP primary debate is at the University of Alabama and seen here exclusively on News Nation tomorrow night, as per usual, younger voters are not expected to turn out in the numbers that we saw even just 4 years ago.
And according to a Harvard Kennedy School poll, 49% of 18 to 29-year-olds definitely plan on voting for president come 2024. That is down from 57% who said the same thing during the fall of 2019. The actual turnout among that age group in 2020 was 50%. So let's bring in our News Nation newsmakers to get their takes today. We have Kurt Bardella, Dr. Liberty Vittert, and Niall Stanage. Kurt, let me just start with you here on this one. How do you read this? Is just speaking to the double doubters and those who can't bring themselves to vote for either Trump or Biden next year?
I mean, I think that this is just an illustration of the frustration that a lot of people have with the two choices right now. And the bottom line is, it's really not going to change between now and next year. And I think that once we get into the fall campaign, again, remember, we're a year out from this thing. So I don't really pay too much attention to polls like that. I think that the specter, particularly of Donald Trump running for president, being present every day in every news cycle, flooding our airwaves 24/7, flooding our feeds 24/7, I think that will inspire voters, at least on the Democrat side, those young voters to turn out and vote, because no one has had a more mobilizing effect on Democratic Party turnout than Donald Trump over the years.
Well, I want to talk to our statistician here, Liberty Vittert, about these particular numbers. Maybe impressive that Harvard decided to focus on this group, but over the years, I mean, we've really only seen 50%, maybe at most 55% on average for young people age 18 to 29. At least we're not seeing the kind of apathy we saw in 1996 and 2000, where it plummeted to like 39%.
Absolutely. And Kurt, I think you're right. You know, we're a year out from this. Like, I think it's pretty amazing what the numbers are. And you also have to remember, Trump isn't president. He isn't tweeting every day. He isn't saying crazy things on Twitter. We don't have the media hourly telling us how terrible Donald Trump is. So a lot of the young voters have not yet been motivated to come out. So I think we're going to see something maybe very different, especially given that 69% of young voters say that their vote for Biden is actually more of a vote against Trump.
Yeah, to your point, most young voters, 69%. said that who support Biden over Trump said that their vote is more in opposition to Donald Trump becoming president again than support for President Biden. Niall, don't you think that also goes to adults too? I mean, take a look at social media in 2020. There was so much anti-Trump rhetoric, so many posts just about, you know, the pro-Biden-Harris ticket. And in the past 4 years, where have those accounts been? They've been silent. I feel like this is adults and young voters alike.
Yeah, I think that is a fair point, but I do think it is more of a sharpening trend among younger voters. Kurt mentioned the idea that Democrats or Democratic-leaning voters are going to be motivated once Donald Trump is front and centre. I agree with that, but what it also speaks to is a lack of enthusiasm for President Biden. Remember, Marky, younger voters were never in love with then-candidate Biden all that much anyway when he was first running. Then you put on top of that topics that younger voters typically care a lot about, such as climate change, for example, or the student loans issue, where the president has taken some action, but not enough to really sort of inspire younger voters. And of course, the current conflict in the Middle East is extremely divisive, extremely so among young voters in particular.
Well, and speaking of those young people, I mean, we're talking about the 18 to 29 group. So, I mean, they're not little kids. I mean, these are college students and graduates who could possibly be the next leaders of tomorrow. And many of them on college campuses voicing their concerns, voicing their outrage, depending upon what side of the coin they're on. But anti-Semitism not to be ignored. There's this new Harvard, or rather there's this new actual hearing that's going to be happening on Capitol Hill today. College presidents will have to address this. Niall, this isn't just an issue that splits between parties. This is an issue that is splitting the Democratic Party.
Very much so. It's a huge wound in the Democratic Party, and because it splits pretty much down the middle. And of course, this is literally a life and death issue. So that's obviously massive and is potentially politically damaging for President Biden. Now, in relation to those hearings, I mean, we have seen an upsurge in anti-Semitic incidents We saw in one survey 74% of Jewish students saying that they had believed that they had witnessed or felt anti-Semitic behaviour from people around them. That's a horrendous, terrifying statistic. Now, yes, sometimes the charge of anti-Semitism can be spread too widely to try to invalidate legitimate criticisms of Israeli governments, but 3/4 of Jewish students feeling that they've been witness to anti-Semitism, that's bad stuff.
Yeah. Kurt, today we have the presidents of Harvard, MIT, Penn. What do you think we will hear from them, and how honest do you think they'll be when they're in the hot seat today?
Well, I think what they need to remember,
I think
this is...
Oh, sorry, Kurt, take it.
Go ahead, Kurt.
As someone who worked at a congressional oversight committee for many years, I think what these institutions need to be wary of is coming unprepared to answer direct questions about what are you doing in terms of making sure students feel safe? What are you doing to make sure that when students report incidents that there is actual follow-up? What does success look like with your policies governing these things? The worst thing you can do in a situation like this is show up unprepared without those answers and just say repeatedly, well, I don't know, we have to look into that. That will guarantee a second invitation back, which I think that they're going to want to avoid. And their students will be listening very closely. And again, this is the kind of stuff that can go viral very quickly on campuses. So if these guys don't have the right answer, their students will take matters into their own hands and make it a bigger issue.
Well, and there's different ways that different students are addressing some of this. But I know that at the end of the month, at the end of November, Harvard was being investigated by the Department of Education because they weren't responsive enough to students' concerns. Liberty, in terms of making sure that this is done, can this be applied as a solution? Addressing anti-Semitism, actually doing something tangible without it being politicized? Or are we just stuck in this particular culture war right now?
I mean, I think to think that these hearings are going to do anything is just ridiculous. First of all, calling what's happening on college campuses simple anti-Semitism is like calling Ebola a cold. I mean, these are kids who are marching for the deaths of millions of Jews. This is not a both sidesism or simple anti-Semitism. And to think that Congressman whoever on the Hill is going to call these presidents forward and it's going to make some difference. I mean, give me a break. These college presidents are so indoctrinated. They're so insulated. It's not going to do anything.
Yeah, we know the portion of Jewish students who said they feel comfortable with others knowing they are Jewish has been cut nearly in half, from 64% prior to the start of the war to 39% after this conflict ignited. So all eyes on this hearing in just a little bit. Let's get to the last topic of the day, a little bit lighter, if we can. Time magazine has released its short list for its Person of the Year. So let's break this down. It includes Hollywood strikers, Taylor Swift, Xi Jinping, Sam Altman, creator of ChatGPT, Barbie, the Trump prosecutors, Vladimir Putin, Jerome Powell, and King Charles.
It sounds a lot longer when you read them all out loud.
When I say the short list.
But there's only 9. That was just 9.
Yeah. Okay, who wants to start? Does anybody have any strong opinions about who should prevail here?
I'll go. I have a strong opinion.
That was cute. Ladies first. Liberty.
Yes. Ladies first, Niall. I beat you to it. Taylor Swift, come on. It's not even, first of all, I have to say, I didn't know Time magazine still existed when I saw this, but Taylor Swift.
Liberty.
I mean, sorry.
I like the honesty.
Taylor Swift. So come on, it's not necessarily for what she's done this year. It's for what she could do next year. She sold out stadiums in all of the swing states. So think about what she could do in the 2024 election. If you're going to pay thousands of dollars to go watch her, you're probably going to go do what she tells you to in the voting box. So I think Taylor Swift might be a force of nature.
Yeah, she actually was encouraging people to vote this year in her way right before her performances. Niall, you were eager to share your prediction.
I'm eager to share my prediction that as a very serious, earnest political analyst, it's clearly Taylor Swift. I mean, it's just clearly, obviously Taylor Swift.
I didn't think you were going to say that. Okay.
Are you a Swiftie?
Look, somebody who's I am a big Taylor Swift fan, and everyone laughs when I say that because they think I'm being funny. I think Taylor Swift is brilliant. I think she's commercially huge and brilliant, which isn't always the case in music. And I think that tour gave people an actual communal experience, reached across generations, across demographics, even united me and Liberty Vittert. I mean, what more could you ask for? So that's got to be.
We're going to sing "We Are the World" after this to the Taylor Swift bop. Okay,
Kurt, what did you have a vote?
You know, I actually went outside the box, still in music. I actually would like to see someone like Brad Paisley get considered for something like this, because I look at what Brad's done this year. Putting out a song called Same Here with the president of Ukraine, actually having had the chance, he went to Ukraine, met with Zelensky. Zelensky's going to be in the music video that was put out. I look at the song he just put out that he performed yesterday. I think it was on The Tonight Show, called The Medicine Wheel, focusing on the opioid crisis in West Virginia and coal miners and how that has devastated their community. I look at the charity that he has with his wife, Kimberly Williams Paisley, called The Store, dealing with food insecurity, giving out a place where people can shop with dignity who are food insecure in the Nashville, Tennessee area. So I love Taylor Swift. I think that she's a phenomenon. I went to that concert, saw it firsthand in Pittsburgh at the stadium there. But I think of someone like Brad, who's doing these very specific, targeted, granular things that are impacting people at an individual level rather than just a big spectacle.
Yeah. Gosh, what a great answer.
Impact. No, that's a phenomenal answer. And I think there are a lot of people who are going to read Time and think, that's it? These are my choices? So we'll be seeing what happens and who actually won Person of the Year. I hope it's, I mean, if it is Taylor Swift, at least that's a fun one.
Yeah, I mean, she's certainly
There's not a lot of fun on that
shifted
list.
headlines.
Yeah.
No matter if you like her or listen to her or not.
Yeah. But gosh, Brad Paisley. We'll have to give him a different award if he doesn't get this one. Kurt Bardella, Dr. Liberty Vittert, and Niall Stanage. Thanks, guys. We appreciate it. That was fun.
Okay, don't all say goodbye at once. We'll